there's so much to learn about the journey at Sutton, because a lot of people, I think, they would immediately think of manufacturing as your typical like assembly line, siloed approach to business. That's not how it feels at all. The technology assists every aspect of executing the business. And so there's a continuum as we get to the end of whatever process has manufactured a component. That's not the end of the technology. That component now has to be stored, it has to be tracked, it has to have a journey for how it's going to get to its target. And when you step back in your role where you're looking at commercial growth, you need to know you've then got systems that are delivering that at scale, and that's going to then propagate all the way to, like you said, customer experience and service. That idea where you see technology as being something you're embracing from heavy lift plant all the way through to fine, entirely digital pieces. That's something which it feels like a lot of Australian businesses, even now, they kind of struggle with. There's like this technology over here, and I buy some software sometimes and it does stuff, and there's my core business over here. I don't get that sense here. Like, you have a different relationship with tech.
It's been a transition over a long period of time. So, for example, we've been on our current ERP platform for maybe 2 decades. We moved from a Unix server-based environment to a global ERP system, and that progressed onto a cloud-based version. About 15 years ago, we started the journey with Salesforce after having some smaller CRM type products. That progression to cloud-based platforms has accelerated so dramatically that it's allowed us to take a more aggressive and progressive approach to information. The best real-world example I can give is that we sell a product, we'll call it a drill bit, and it goes to a customer in France. We've got to be in a place where the description of that product is consistent on the invoice, on the laser marking on the tool itself, on the label that goes on the tool, on the website, on the portal. We have to have that dynamic, fully integrated approach, and that's really driven out of commercial necessity. It's become a significant differentiator in competition.
Why is that? It's an interesting thing to hear, right? That something as fundamental as...
Well, it's very timely, John, because last week we acquired a local business here in the measuring space.
Yep.
It's a famous Japanese brand. It's called Mitutoyo, and they're world famous for measuring micrometers and verniers and those sorts of things. Customers that I called in the last week to inform them of this, the larger customers I rang personally, and they said, well, a number of them said, we're actually really pleased that you've bought this business, because it was a very well run business, but a small one. I communicated to them that all that product range will be on the Sutton tech stack within 3 or 4 months. And that's what they want. They want to know all the product information. They want to know the inventory levels. They want to know if it's in stock in Singapore or Japan as well as Australia. They want to know if they can get that tool within 24 hours.
Wow.
That's the sort of expectation customers have these days.
Yeah.
If you want to differentiate from your competitors, product will take you so far, but the further experience end-to-end with customers is of equal importance these days.
You could literally be in San Fran. You could say something like that, and it would fit right in with the latest SaaS company pitch. I've heard people talk about, let's buy a product and drop it into our channel. They're not even talking really about a physical product, and they're not talking about a physical channel, but it's how they think about it. The distribution function, with great experience, is such a way to compete if you can then just get good product and use that to advance. One of the things you guys have done that I find myself more and more, advising on, the M&A, so the merger acquisition path of growth, particularly as you've gone globally. I've seen it in Europe, and I've seen it with Sutton here, that understanding the role of a consistent tech stack in accelerating that, right? That's not the consultant saying, hey, this is a great reason to buy this stuff. It is essential to executing it effectively and smoothly. What's your take on that?
I think we've been very fortunate in that we have always taken a simple is better approach with our tech stack. If I look back over the last 10 years, we've, say, undertaken half a dozen acquisitions. In all cases, we've moved them in an appropriate period of time onto our ERP system. But in more recent times, If I take one in New Zealand, which was one of our larger customers for our tooling, when you move them to our ERP stack, your whole digital engagement layer comes with it. And it's almost, you get, I wouldn't say you get it for free because you certainly don't, but
For a reasonable incremental price.
most of these acquisitions are companies in, say, a $5 to $10 million turnover range. So their digital platforms are functional, but probably not at best practice or able to be scaled to the level that customers expect.
Yep.
So in both the New Zealand acquisition and the UK acquisition, we moved them onto our ERP platform that is fully integrated with our Salesforce engagement layer that includes CRM, commerce, marketing, analytics, data warehousing. That all
We've
comes.
got Snowflake in there as well, I think, as well.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
So CloudWorks is an integral partner in that regard, and it's been quite transformational for our business because the information you can provide internally and to customers is phenomenal. My Sutton portal, for example, our customers can obviously place orders, but beyond that, they're getting a suite of analytics embedded into their portal that show them their purchase history, summarise the service levels that we're providing, give them quite detailed analytics around promotional activity, loyalty programs and rebates, that sort of thing. So once you are able to provide that sort of data to customers on a consistent basis, it is a major point of differentiation between you and other competitors. So that's been an active strategy, and we've rolled out with all the acquisitions much quicker than we anticipated. Websites, portals, information to key accounts. You know, I wouldn't say but we're perfect by any means, but we've actually done it, and we're driving live data to customers.
Yep.
And one of the customers of the Mitutoyo brand in South Australia yesterday said, "Oh, I'm just so pleased because I'll be able to get all this data that I can't get with the current company."
Yeah.
It's good to hear from the real world that people want this stuff. It's not just a product sell from a software vendor.
I was about to say that is exactly what I wanted to double click on, is the amount of cynicism I understand over the years about, why do people want a portal? Is there a value in the portal? And again, my time with some European mega multinationals, that to me was like asking, why do you want oxygen? But I felt there was a disconnect sometimes in how we're talking to Aussie local businesses that maybe don't perceive the value. I think one of the things which is so powerful about your outlook is that there has been this global view from very early days. We were talking literally to the level of other people internationally have portals. These portals are essential to the distribution strategy. We are just going to do this. And I think that's obviously paid off as you've expanded globally. But I think this example you're giving of the local toolmaker, being able to pick that up and then hear directly from customers that are already customers of that company saying, I value instantly the level up you're providing, I think is a good wake-up call.